It's day two. We are live. I just started the live stream and stopped it and started the live stream and stopped it again because I don't know what I'm doing. So I'm so excited to be with you again. This is Tanae Williams with Clearview Eastern. And today I'm going to talk about some of the amazing things that we're doing, just some of the deal flow we are not doing anything with, and some of just some of the decisions we've made on why we are pursuing this deal flow. And also just a little bit of information about some of the latest news in the areas that we're choosing. So when we choose, okay, let's start from the top. First of all, I am not giving financial advice to anyone. You go talk to whoever you want to talk to. You can talk to mama, daddy, poo poo, and whoever, Mookie and your uncle and, your financial planner, your tax planner, and all those people, because I'm not the one. We do what we do, and we work with people that are accredited investors. And so accredited means that you make $200,000 as an individual or $300,000 as a couple. And we do have opportunities at times for people that are not accredited, but you'd have to be on the inside to know how to get into those deals. So again, this is Tanae Williams. I'm with Clearview Eastern Fund. I founded this company with a hope and a dream that I could solve one of the craziest problems of the roller coaster of entrepreneurship, and buy bigger, better deals. And so about 4 years ago, I founded Clearview with that thought process. I said, all right, well, 2021 kicked my butt again, another cycle and another just time where the landlords were beaten up in New York and New Jersey, Ohio, and many of these places. We got smacked in the face. We had to pay our mortgages, and the government told everyone, hey, we're shut down, so no one has to pay any rent. And they said they would subsidize the rent. And subsidizing the rent is sounds like a great deal, right? It sounds great, like we're going to be guaranteed our rent regardless, so we can make the payments. Unfortunately, in New Jersey, that is not exactly what happened. There was a nonprofit organization that was in charge of sending out those rent checks, and let me tell you, it turned into a crazy thing because we didn't get the rent checks. I would call every week and say, hey, this tenant applied, where's the rent check? And they'll say they sent it. And then we had to go and track down the post office and see why the post office didn't deliver. We're getting all other mail. Well, after many months and actually over a year, we found that someone at the post office was stealing those checks, and possibly the checks were getting stolen by people at the nonprofit organization because they could never answer a straight question to tell me the check number, how they could trace it, or anything. So we lost well over $60,000 on those rent checks. And so after coming back from 2008, finally getting the mustard and the finally getting the courage to go back out there and do it again after being beat up from 2008 crash, I started looking at deals again in 2014 in New York, New Jersey. Especially New Jersey had some crazy awesome deals. And I said to myself, the last property that we actually were rehabbing right as the crash was happening in 2008, we were in the middle of a four-family remodel, and that project never did get finished. What's funny is that actual building came across my desk at the real estate office at Gotham RE Group when we had the office on 161st Street. That my building that I thought I lost, and actually I didn't lose the building until 2013, but I was so overwhelmed with the crash and the loss and a divorce and a mess that I went ahead and just, stopped dealing with that property, and, was getting notices about the taxes taking the building, and I assumed it was foreclosed. What's funny is it hadn't actually foreclosed. When they show those tax lien certificates in New York City, they don't actually foreclose, even though you're on the list as a delinquent tax lien. So I was younger, of course, I didn't realize that. And I hadn't had enough experience to know that it wasn't all over. I could have actually caught up. I could have done a loan modification. I could have done a bunch of things that I know now. But at that time, I was just like exhausted with the amount of mess, loss all over the place. I can't even begin to tell you. We were devastated, to say the least. Just a number of projects that kind of crashed and burned, and people owed, and different things that was happening in that time, which led to divorce and led to fighting over the business and fighting over properties and fighting over all that craziness. Speeding forward, someone came to me with that property, and they go, "Oh, well, what we're doing is we're taking these properties and we're putting homeless overflow in it. And this is what we're doing. And we're helping the shelters and we're taking some of that overflow." And I go, "You've got to be kidding me." That's what I was doing just before I stopped buying. And the last property was over this, what the name of the street, I think, was, it's right off of East Tremont in the Bronx. Anyway, so it was a great, interesting thing that happened where these guys bought me back my own property. So I'm like, "Oh, let me see what you do," because they wanted us to find them off-market deals at the real estate office. So we go, "Okay, that sounds interesting. Yes, we find, off-market real estate, and I've been an investor for many years, and, this is what we were doing, during the crash and before the crash and blah, blah, blah." And so we go with this guy. I go with this guy, myself and my partner, and we drive to the first building that they just completed, that they bought as an REO from the bank. And it's the building we had just remodeled, and literally all the same work that we had put into it was still there. They just were able to finish it, whereas we were not able to finish it. So I love those projects where you actually find some of these deals where someone else didn't finish a project because they simply ran out of money. And that's what happened at that time, is that we ran out of money. We couldn't finish this four-family. And so it turned out that the same banister that I painted and the same, sweat and labor from that time was still on the building. They had just completed the work that we didn't do and left the work that we did do. And that just kind of hits you right in the stomach when you go, "Oh, I could have finished it. I could have finished it. I didn't have to." But it was just I'll never forget just the feeling of being extremely overwhelmed with the recession and loss from stock market, loss from deals not completing, and just a mess. And that kind of ingenuity to keep going, and the perseverance to get up and go again, I know I've done multiple times. And I've got to tell you, it gets to be a pattern. and you start to see the pattern and get above that pattern. And that's one of the reasons that we launched the fund, because I saw the pattern happen again in 2020 with the pandemic. Okay, so now here goes another mess, and we're getting screwed with these rents. And the mortgage companies want their money, but the government is telling people that they don't have to pay. And then there's thieves, and there's all kinds of things that are completely out of your control. So the one thing, so when I came back from 2008, I said, okay, I'm going to buy 2 to 4 family properties and not single family. So the last one that we lost was a 4 family, and before that was all single families. Then I decided, okay, we're going to make more money by having more doors in one place. So the likelihood of someone saying, hey, they can't pay, because we experienced this with single families before. I lost my job. I got sick, this happened, that happened, and you're dealing with tenants. It's just really something that weighs on you when you're dealing with tenants and they lost their job or they got hurt and now they can't pay their rent. And you're not family. You have to be like this person, especially if you don't have a property management. If you have property management, it's so much easier. But in our experience back then, property management was usually 8 to 10%. Plus, they're charging you on top of that, and the margins just were not large enough. These are the lessons learned over time. These are the lessons, the grind that it's taken me to get to this place to where I can sit here and talk to you about how we now have solved these issues of getting above the BS. I can't even tell you enough. It's like, how do I get above the BS? How do I get above the cycles of the insanity? And that's what happened with the fund. The launch of Clearview Eastern Fund is 80% multifamily apartments. So it's more doors. If someone does say, hey, I lost my job, I've got another 99 apartments that probably didn't lose their job. If the government says, hey, you don't have to pay if you don't want to, and you don't have to go to work, and you shouldn't go to work, and as a matter of fact, you're restricted from going to work. If we have another one of those crazy situations, what was interesting about learning how to pay attention to the demographics and how we're paying attention now to the net migration and markets, and understanding at a higher level, at an institutional private equity level, how we can actually get above the BS by being in specific markets like Nashville, Tennessee, like Texas, like Florida, because we saw net migration move east to this, it moved from the east to Texas and moved from the west to Texas. And net migration moved, of course, from New York, New Jersey area to Florida and Texas and Nashville, Tennessee, North Carolina. And these places do not have the same rules and regulations. So depending geographically where someone is, the rules and regulations of the government are different. And so I had to learn that lesson through actual trial and error of, being the go-getter. I know how to do it. I can go do this. I know how to do it. And, oh, I did it. Oh, there's this other part that I didn't know about. So, and it's so funny because we have a lot of institutional investors that tell me now, oh, you're still on fund 1. Yeah, call us when you're on fund 2, because there has been trial and error that we've learned through private equity as well. Now that we've started fund 1, we're completing fund 1 with only I'd say about $7 million more to go in fund 1. So far, so good. We are averaging a nice 22 to 25% IRR for our investors. We've already exited 2 properties. And one of the things that I've done to mitigate risk is to invest alongside seasoned operators that already have been through their 40 years of trial and error and understand the markets that they're in. So, that's why 80% of the fund is multifamily apartments, institutional level multifamily apartments, and 20% of the fund are businesses. So it just so happens that we today are going to be talking about these alternative investments that your financial planner just doesn't tell you about. It's so funny because just before this call, I was talking to my daughter, and she's going to turn 21 in June. She showed me one of her first paychecks where she finally saw $900 on a paycheck. She is stoked. And I told her on the last paycheck and before she started to get these paychecks that, hey, listen, you make sure you have what your brothers have. Your brothers are all on Acorns. Check out Acorns, check out Betterment. These are some of the things I suggest in the Buy Income Strategy book. Go and check out some of these automated, AI-driven platforms that are going to invest in index. What's lovely about Acorns is it invests in these index stocks, and it, takes your change or whatever you put in there, and it just goes to work for you. And I think that is one of the most awesome things that they've come up with, and they diversify the portfolio. Now, when you think about your financial planner, I found something out really important that I didn't know. I know I didn't know this. And what I found out is the reason that private equity alternative investments are not available to the general public is because that particular company does not want to spend the time to do the due diligence. So they stick to what they know. So financial planners or RIAs, you could go to a RIA. Actually, if you read Money Master the Game by Tony Robbins, that's when I really learned about RIAs, a registered investment advisor. And a registered investment advisor, you can take a potential deal to them, and their job is to evaluate it for you. And they don't have specific recommendations that they make to you per se. They actually have more alternative investments than a typical financial planner. So when you think about what your yield is, and you find out that in some of these alternative investments like multifamily or the way we're buying businesses, you find out that you can see 20, 25%, IRR, whereas the best case scenario that you could see in 7 years, if you could average 10% with a financial planner, and the S&P 500 has been averaging, I'd say 10 to 15%, but it does have those big downturns. And so financial planners are typically only able to refer those specific types of investments. Every now and then you might be large enough of an investor to get in with like a BlackRock or Blackstone or KKR, and you can get access to those investments. But again, that's private equity. And you need to have the ability to have enough money to be able to get into those funds, or just have access to be able to get into the PE world. And the PE world is only for, again, accredited investors, because they want you to be savvy enough to understand the risks. There are risks in everything. So nothing is guaranteed. Even when you invest in the stock market, it's all risk, but these are risks that people understand better, that's been going for 100 years. So however long the stock market's been around, right? So it's been going for a good span of time where people know, okay, I'm going to buy a piece of this company, and this company could make money, could have great earnings, or it could be a lot of fluff and speculation. And like we all saw that GameStop situation happen over in 2020. So the GameStop situation actually taught us a lot, didn't it? Especially the new Gen Zs coming up, that you could, increase the stock and what do they call it? When they increase the stock or even crypto or anything, and they blow it up and then crash it down. They call it a pump and dump. So someone pumps and dumps it. And so you put your money in there and then it got pumped and dumped. Like we see Bitcoin right now going through its little cycle where it's back down in this $60,000 range. And I thought it was never going to come back down there. Just like I thought last time, Bitcoin was never going to go back down to $13,000. I was like, oh my God, I was buying Bitcoin in the $60,000 range. And I was really excited when I got it. I was getting Bitcoin around 30s and 40s. And then, and for some reason, and I learned how to trade it. And this is outside of the fund. This has nothing to do with Clearview. But personally, I learned how, I watched some of those guys that were teaching how to trade crypto and how to play crypto kind of the same way you do options. And it was a lot of fun learning how to do that and playing, the markets. But I eventually lost like $5,000 or something playing around with that. And it was just not consistent. And then I'm not very good at that because then it starts to feel like gambling. So you just don't want to go there and start gambling with your money. You want very consistent, simple things. That's why in the buy income strategy, I go through a risk tolerance level. So depending on your risk tolerance level, I give you 27 ways to buy passive income. And in all of those 27 different ways, it's like, okay, these are low risk, these are medium risk, these are high risk. And so, you understand. That's why the SEC protects all of us, so that, if you're making at least $200,000 a year as an individual, you probably have stocks, bonds, real estate. You understand the market a little bit more, because you shouldn't just make $200,000 a year and then spend it on all liabilities. Some of us do, and that's why I have the buy income strategy, to show you that you should take your earned income and buy passive income with it. And we're here to talk about what kinds of passive income we buy. So, of course, we talked about the apartments and the multifamily, and that whole thing that happened during COVID pushed me to figure out how to get more doors. And I knew that I didn't make a mistake in real estate. I knew the thing that I always notice, and it is having the foresight and the insight to see that people are succeeding even during the crash. So during every single recession, there's a group of us that are succeeding like no one's business. And then there is a group of us that are losing. So there's a group that are just racking up. They're ready. I just saw some news the other day that Warren Buffett is sitting on, he's taken his money out of the market. Some of the big players have taken their money out of the market and they're sitting back, waiting patiently. Because when they're taking their money out of the market, this is when, people that understand these markets and the stock markets, they understand these cycles. Ray Dalio in the book Principles, he talks about cycles. So you have to look at things from a macroeconomic point of view. And once you start to see that, oh, this is normal. Okay, this is going to happen. If you look at and learn what a Fibonacci pattern is, this is normal. It's going to happen. It's inevitable. It's part of the universe. The universe has ups and downs. It has spring, winter, fall, summer. It's going to go through a cycle. It's going to go through rain, winter, fall, spring. It's going to go through snow. It's going to freeze. It's going to have these cycles. And, in ancient Hermetic wisdom, it says, as above, so below. Okay. As above, so below. So that means that no matter what's happening above, it's also happening below. And you can look at that I could deep dive into the spiritual meaning of that. I'm not going to do that today. What I do want to talk about is how you have to learn that these things are cycles, and then learn how to kind of minimize and decrease the amount of time that it takes you to double your money. It's that simple. Because in the stock market, the financial planners want you, basically, you're lucky if you can get to have an average of 10% per year and utilize the rule of 72. And the rule of 72 is, it says, if you make 10% per year on your money in 7.2 years, you'll have a double of your money. That's the rule of 72, right? So the rule of 72 says, depending on, the interest rate that you're making, and your return on investment, is going, if the higher the rate, the more you crunch time to double your money. And so all of us have seen that. Well, hopefully, if you haven't, I don't remember how it goes exactly, and I can't repeat it right now. But if you double a penny every day, I don't remember how it goes, but I know it's insane. It's like you end up with millions of dollars in less than a year if you just keep doubling a penny every day. So 1 cent becomes 2 cents, 2 cents becomes 4 cents, 4 cents becomes 8, 8 becomes 16, 16 becomes 32. And you just keep doing that over the course of a certain amount of time. It becomes a million, it becomes billions in a very short period of time. So the trick in investing has always been, how many times can I flip my money in the shortest amount of time? And I talked a little bit about this yesterday. How many times can I flip my money in the shortest amount of time? And so that means, I have people that we work with right now that are investors, and they might lend us money literally just for a day. We may need money just for a day. As a matter of fact, we were sourcing $8.3 million that we would use for a day, and we were paying 3 points on it. I actually found it for a little bit better price, but we needed $8.3 million. And now we found it at 1%. I just actually got the call yesterday. So imagine that person that has the $8.3 million, or that fund, or that family, or whatever. They have that money, and they made 1% on that $8.3 million for a few hours. That's the kind of thing that happens inside the private equity world. When you're moving money, and you're just moving it. It's just moving. I've got other investors that work with us where we need to move quickly on an earnest money deposit. And the liquidity, they will just provide that liquidity for the earnest money deposit. And some people charge as much as 10%. That money might be out for just 3 months. So let's say they were able to flip that money 4 times at 10%. That's 40% on their money in 1 year, compared to your financial advisor of the average Joe telling you to double your money in 7.2 years. That is why some people are playing chess and others are playing checkers. Maybe they're playing backgammon. I don't know. But that's exactly what's happening. So when you see these guys, oh, they have billions of dollars. It's not fair. It's not fair to these people. It's just because you didn't learn how to play the game yet. And that's why me, little old me, Tanae Williams, is here to tell you how to play the game, how to get into the game. Oh, I think of all of this. All of this is just the game of life. And you have to learn how to play it well, learn how to be a great parent, learn how to take your vacation time, take your me time when it's time. I just had one of my family offices. He just got back. He's like, I took some much needed personal time. I kept like blowing him up, trying to send him this deal we've got in Texas, in East Texas. This one is one of my favorite deals that we are going to close on a concrete company. I cannot give you details unless you go ahead and drop the word alpha in the comments right now. You drop the word alpha and you will get exclusive access to some of these things, some of these deals I'm going to be talking about today. Okay, so this is my most favorite deal we have in the pipeline, and it actually just came together last night. We have another meeting today, but all of the debt is done. $10 million in about, I think it's $9.5 million in leverage. And we're putting $1.3 million in equity into the deal through Clearview. And we're buying $1.8 million in income a year. And that $1.8 million a year, we're going to be getting 19% of the equity from that investment. And so that's of that 1.8, let's just say 20% of 1.8. So that's 200, little less than 400,000 that we'll get from that. Let's see, am I doing that right? 2 million. Yep, 200,000, 400, a little less, probably like about $350,000 would be our equity stake of the profits of the current income. And the operators that we're working with on this deal are phenomenal. I mean, their resumes are just phenomenal. They've worked with all major corporations. Actually, one of the operators is leaving a $200,000 a year job where he is currently managing multiple companies and leaving his job to acquire this company and do it for himself. He's already exited over 8 companies himself. And we have one of the other partners is a Wall Street genius. He actually has been seen with just about everyone who's anyone in celebrity, and he's an amazing guy. And we also have our third leg, who is our financial genius on the deal. But everyone came together, and these guys came together and have been working on this deal to get it to this finish line where they bought in their equity partner for over a year. And this is going to be over in East Texas. Let me tell you the research that we've done over there in East Texas so far. So over in East Texas, just right now, the area is this particular company that we're buying. This is one of 3 companies that are pending. So one company is like ready to close, And there's two companies that we're automatically getting equity in. So we are not just getting equity in that 1.8 million, we're getting equity in the next investment, which is a utility company. And so I thought when he said utility company, I didn't even know what he meant, what a utility company was, but I found out that because this is an industrial infrastructure roll up. See, I don't have to know anything about industrial infrastructure. It's not my field. I mean, we're in real estate, but industrial infrastructure is totally different. These are the people that are putting in the roads. So the utility company that's going to be bought after this company is putting in the roads, digs the ditches for the trenches, digs the ditches for the utility company to lay lines. They're the ones that digs the trenches for those lines to come. So that's the second acquisition that we have an automatic 10% in as a result of partnering with these guys on the equity. And the third company that we're going to have an automatic equity position in is for 5% of an excavation company. And that excavation company, so all three of these, and this is all in East Texas, and all three of these companies basically have pre-existing customers. The concrete company is actually a 27-year-old company. So if you've ever heard me talk about the silver tsunami, this is the reason why I saw an opportunity to get above the BS by diversifying, like Ray Dalio says, in principles. In diversifying in markets, multiple different uncorrelated bets. That's how Ray says it. We're going to invest in 15. This fund has 15 plus uncorrelated bets with a wonderful depreciation of 80% from institutional level multifamily apartments. I could talk about this stuff all day long. Okay, so institutional level multifamily means it's above 100 doors. So I got above the BS with the the property managers charging us 8 to 10%. Property managers only make 2.5 to 3% at that level. Go figure. That means we get more money. So we get more money, to our bottom line, because we're not getting feed to death. And I'm saying fee, F-E-E, and I made the word up, feed. Okay, because I am so used to people just taking you. Oh, you make money? Okay, well, let me charge you this. You make money? Let me charge you that. By the time you get finished, you don't have any money left. And so what happened to the investment? Oh, we had this fee and that fee and that fee and this fee. And let me tell you something about Clearview. We are not one of those private equity funds that feeds you to death. So we have that 2-point standard private equity, 2 points on the investments. And all of these investments, the reason why you're going through our private equity fund is because I enjoy looking at these deals, making deals, and putting these things together so that we are winning. We and all of our investors are winning at this game called life, so that we can spend more time with our families, so that we can take our earned income, buy income while we have it, because that's what I told my daughter earlier before this call. You better take 15% of that $900 and put it into acorns. And she goes, 15%? She goes, yeah, I was going to do that, like $50, right? And I'm like, no, what's 15% of, it was $877. It was 15% of $877. She's like, oh, that's $131. Yes, ma'am. Take it off the top, put it into the account. She's like, well, last time I looked at it, it was down. I'm like, don't worry about that. It's going to go up and down. Okay, teaching her early to understand that you might be making money today, but that is not a guaranteed thing. For any reason, they could say, and she's in a sales job. So for any reason, they could let her go. She's not making enough sales. She's not getting enough deals closed. So while you're up, you take your earned income and you buy income with it. And then the next part of the game is to take that earned income and make sure you're making the highest possible return on your investment. And the next rule is to diversify, according to Ray Dalio, who is a macroeconomist who just looks at the big picture, has seen 60 plus years of investments, people like him and Warren Buffett, and say, okay, look, we know stuff is going to happen. We don't know where it's going to happen. No one knows the answer to how this is going to happen and this is going to happen. We don't know the Iran war is happening. We don't know Venezuela. We don't know that he's going to take over Cuba. We don't know how that's going to affect things. With all this conversation on the straits and the oil, and the cost of oil is going to affect other things. Okay, so as the cost of oil going up, it's going to possibly affect the concrete company. We had a conversation about this last night because of the war. And how do you mitigate these changes that are coming at you? Boom, boom, uppercut, left cut, okay, boom. They're coming at you. So while you think you've got this great plan that you made 5 years ago, that is BS. Nothing is like, boom, this is going to happen, and then this is going to happen, and this is going to happen. The way I was taught to make plans before, it's like, whoa, nothing has ever gone exactly as planned. That is not a thing. And it is certainly not a thing in 2026. So for those of you that are getting upset, that are conservative, and your plan is not working, I'm sorry, honey. I'm so sorry for you, because there are some of you out there that are so structured that you can't take the punches. And I understand, and this is why I'm here, to help you see what I have figured out. And it's these rules. So you got to diversify, because you don't know when the rainstorm is coming. And so over here in East Texas, I just saw the math. This is, like I said, it's a $10 million platform acquisition with $1.8 million in adjusted EBITDA. And the safety is the senior debt is already approved. And the debt service coverage ratio is projected at 2x. That means we are bringing in 2x the leverage. So the debt service coverage ratio, whatever that payment is, the business makes 2x that payment. And so there's a lot of cushion for different things like increasing gas prices. Didn't think about that, but we did. We thought about it. The safety, okay, so then our exit. Now, this is what's interesting. So we're buying this company at 6 times EBITDA, okay? However, the exit would be at 10 to 15 times EBITDA when we sell to PE, the new rolled up company. And rolled up company means that the concrete company, the utility company, and the excavation company increase those profits, get more government contracts as part of the plan of the operations team, and then sell in a good 3 to 5 years to PE, giving us a nice little chunk of cash into the fund. same as it does for the multifamily real estate. So the over there in this area, so this is over in East Texas in an area called Laredo. Okay. And what's been happening over there? Now, let me tell you about Laredo, Texas. It's the Port of Laredo. This is a trade town. This isn't just a border town. This is like literally the border of Mexico. But it's not just a border town, it's the backbone of North American logistics. So this is stuff that, if you're not in that area, you just wouldn't know is happening. And so the latest news is that the Port of Laredo officially hit a record-shattering trade volume of $353.24 billion for the fiscal year. So while everyone's busy talking about, and this is what I mean. I like to point this out to people because, you don't even know the craziness that happens while they're giving you one story on the news. Oh my God, the border, and we got ICE, and we're getting all the Mexicans out, and all this is happening, and they're giving you this energy of fear, doom, and gloom, which I believe certain spirits eat off of. Different conversation for a different day. However, in the same breath, the Port of Laredo is a major trade area. And they hit a record high of $353 billion in the last fiscal year. While in another news story, they're busy talking about how we have these trade wars and we have these tariff issues. I just don't know what to say. Okay. So that's actually Laredo, Texas. I forgot. Laredo, Texas is where we're buying an HVAC company. Okay. Laredo, Texas is not where we're buying the other company, but it is also in East Texas. Laredo is where an HVAC acquisition is actually happening. So we have four that are actually in the pipeline that are in East Texas, that are all now this HVAC company. If you don't know about HVAC, I mean, this company it's been increasing its revenue, and it's probably because of that $353 billion in trade volume. But in 23, this company did, I think it was a little under $1 million, then it did $2 million. This year, it just did $2 million first quarter. And we're in the process of buying that company. Phenomenal company with major commercial clients, all commercial. And that is another project that we're working on. We're buying that company for $2.4 million. We are only investing $250,000 into that acquisition in return for 15% equity. So that is another deal in our pipeline. Now, let me tell you what we're doing in the healthcare space. So remember I told you about that diversification, because when you think about what happened during COVID, and here's what happened during COVID, and this is where fear set in. For the first time ever, I actually was looking into private equity and how to launch a private equity fund. And at the time, just before COVID hit, the year before in 19, I was looking at having all of us invest together in in just a number of different, I was looking at businesses. I was looking at businesses because I was following that guy, Dan Pena. And I saw that there was a way to buy businesses and a way to buy income. And I said, okay, we're going to need more money. It can't just be my money. And so the first time, and this is what a syndication is, a private equity fund, and filing an exemption with the SEC simply means you're doing a syndication, and syndication simply means all of us are putting our money together to do bigger things, and that's all it means. We're putting our money together to buy bigger things, like a $10 million concrete company or a $2 million HVAC company. And so on this particular deal, so in diversifying, we are also investing along with a group doing a healthcare roll-up. So this group, what they're doing is behavioral mental health. They have a behavioral mental health company they're buying in Oregon. They have a company in Chicago that they're buying, which is a health and wellness company. What's interesting about this health and wellness company, let me tell you about this health and wellness company. So we have, and then there's another company in Florida in the Villages, which is the retirement community that everyone's raving about. So that retirement community, they're buying a established platform company in the Villages, built for a disciplined roll-up strategy. And that particular company is doing, let's see, do I have some more info? I put together a few little highlights for me to remember deal flow. Oh, my little highlights are not exactly what I wanted. But let's see. 29 years. And well, I'm not going to go into all the exact details. Of course, you can drop the word alpha in the chat or as a comment. Drop the word alpha and you'll get all of the executive summaries. You'll get our private placement memorandum and all the information that you need to be able to take a look at the finer details of what we're doing and some of these opportunities. But yeah, so the healthcare is, like I said, in the Villages, and that is a 29-year-old established company. And we're purchasing that company, I think, for under $2 million, and it makes a little over $500,000 a year. It comes with, I think we're negotiating to get the real estate, but that's in the pipeline. We also have the next acquisition that's the closest to closing is a horticulture platform. And this is a 40-year-old tropical foliage grower with 75% gross margins. So the top line revenue on that company is $3 million. So this is what I'm talking about. We're buying income. The EBITDA is over $900,000. That's buying cash flow. We're taking our money and buying income with it. Then the behavioral health company in Oregon has over 300 plus patients. That's their base patients. So these are not speculative startups. These are established cash flowing machines. And if you're tired of the hype and ready for actual yield, stop watching from the sidelines. Stop only playing in the stock market, because you've got to diversify. You've got a little money in the stock market. And of course, I've been talking about my little youngin that's coming up, the last one, my little mini me. She's my little girl. The boys are already, my two boys are already following in my footsteps. They're living their best lives. Okay, they're living their best lives. They do what they do, however they want to do it, whatever fills their heart. And I can't ask for anything else. And they live freely. What else could you want from life than not to be tied down to someone else's dream and not getting what you want out of life? You should, even if you were tied to someone else's dream and you were part of the team building something special, and every single job that every single person does is needed, right down to my housemaid that just did the laundry yesterday. Everyone is needed, because I don't have time to sit there doing laundry. Somebody's got to do stuff. She cooked for me last week. I'm trying to get used to this whole thing. Okay, because it's time. My time is better spent preparing for this podcast to share with millions of you, to show you there's a better way. So while they're touting that AI is going to take everybody's job, while you're up, take your earned income and buy passive income with it. Okay, and so let's see. I want you to drop the word alpha in the comments so you can get that direct link to these opportunities. Okay, and let's see. So I know a lot of people have questions. So one of the questions is, why isn't a private equity giant already buying these companies? Because one of the things that I learned when we started to get into M&A is that the giants, the low of the totem pole is like $5 million. And there's a group of PE firms, they want to see $5 million minimum in EBITDA. They're not, this is why it's a major opportunity for us to focus on these companies and roll them up so that they're good enough for the larger PE companies. So these companies that, that have been established for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, and the people are just simply tired. Like on the concrete company, on our meeting last night, one of our partners was just like, yeah, the owner is just tired. Like, there's plenty of things he could do to increase his revenue. He can easily become a $5 million EBITDA company, but they're literally just still doing everything old fashioned. They mix the concrete, they got a few trucks, they keep it clean, and they send it off. They've got their clients and their referrals, but he could be expanding exponentially. He just doesn't have the energy to do it anymore. And so us coming in and buying this company that's only got 1.8 million in EBITDA, the larger PE firms don't want that company. And then guys like BlackRock, I mean, they are focused. I have another partner that I've met through our M&A journey, Mark Allen. Actually, you can check the podcast. We did a podcast just earlier this year. And Mark, now he's focused on smaller companies. But for several years, he was only focused on companies that are doing $100 million or better. And so, and he works on the sales side. So he had helped sellers increase their EBITDA to get them so that the bigger BlackRocks and KKRs and those bigger companies can buy them. So because these guys are just lazy and they're looking for those $100 million checks. That's what, the big PE firms do. And so we're playing in the sub-institutional market. It's a little sweet spot where the real alpha lives. And again, I want you to drop the word alpha to learn more about what we do. Okay, so is this just another turnaround headache? All right, so this is not another turnaround headache. We buy cash flowing. We don't do turnarounds. So we don't do turnarounds at all. We don't do broken in this business. As a matter of fact, I can tell you there was several companies that we've turned down because the income was declining. And so we're not buying any company where the income is declining. We're not buying any company where it's a single owner. That's not something we're interested in. So we have our criteria, and our criteria is really, really important to try and de-risk the situation. We know that, the company is going from established owners that have had it for 20, 30 years, and those owners are usually going to stay on for 6 months, a year. They'll stay on as consultations. On that concrete company, the owner is staying on full-time for 90 days, consultation for a year, and his son, who has worked there for over 10 years, is staying on permanently, and we're doing a contract with him. So, we know that we're de-risking, the situation where there are simply unknown factors when the company changes hands. And so when the company changes hands, everyone's taking a risk on that. Our equity is taking a risk that the operators that we're choosing to align with can take that ball and keep running with it and increase it. And that's one of the things that we concentrate on, that this is not what we do. So like, take the Chicago health and wellness company. It's already profitable, but only operating 3 days a week. And so just by moving it to 5 days a week is an immediate revenue lever with no new build out required. So no, we don't do any turnarounds. And another question was, what happens to my money if the economy tanks tomorrow? And, I've been talking about that for like 45 minutes. Okay. We buy non-discretionary assets. People don't choose to fix their HVAC or treat their mental health. They have to, right? Okay. And so this is what we do, guys. Those are some of the deals we have in the pipeline. I am so excited that you've joined me on my live today. I'm going to come back tomorrow and talk about something else. And I don't know what it's going to be, but I will be back 7 days a week live, bringing it to you hot and heavy, telling you about life, telling you about finance, telling you about it's your time to actually get out of the rat race. And so AI is actually going to help us get out of the rat race. And we're going to move to a period in time where we do what we love to do. My brother loves being an engineer, loves it. He wouldn't want to do anything else. He wouldn't want to stop being an engineer and do something else. Most of us in real estate are in real estate not just to make money, because we love doing it. I'm in private equity because I have now grown up past real estate now with this M&A piece. I just love finding deals. I will keep finding deals and putting it together and making sure we make enough money. And this is my love and passion that I will do forever, okay, until I get tired and do something else. And we are moving into that stage, not where we are doing stuff that we have to do, but we're doing stuff that we want to do to be part of the society, to be part of the community, because everyone needs to do something, and you just don't feel like a human being if you're not doing something. That's why that idea of retiring at age 65 or 67 is stupid, because you don't retire and do nothing. You just move on to what you're going to do next, and no one needs to tell us what age that is, in my opinion. Okay. So, look, you can keep your money in a safe index fund and pay and pray and pray. Okay, I'm reading this out loud. So you can keep your money in a safe index fund and pray for 7%. Or you can back a Marine veteran like one of our operators, or a clinic or a clinical expert like another one of our operators who are actually on the ground building these platform companies. Which one sounds like a real investment to you? So would you like more information? Drop the word alpha in the chat and we will get you some more information, and I'll talk to y'all soon. Later.